Bob Sleet here again. Today we're going to be mowing the lawn. We've been mowing about 2 to 3 times a week because we've had a lot of rain this spring, early summer. So now it's starting to dry out and die out a little bit. The rains have slowed down tremendously, and we've been using the bigger mowers for the taller grass, so now we're going to use a smaller, lighter mower for doing the trimming the grass when it's a lot shorter and easier to cut. Today we're going to be using a 1972 Lawn Boy model 5272. This is kind of a basic model. It's not self-propelled. It doesn't have a regular throttle on it or anything like that. It's just a simple basic mower, but it has a lot of neat features. The front here, you can take this plate off and you can put a chute on it and you can run it back if you want to catch the grass. Very simple to adjust the wheels. Just pull this lever out and move it forward and back to raise or lower it. On the back, you just have a lever. Just move it up or down like that. Very simple and quick. The basic features on it. Turn on the fuel. This lever here is a 2-speed throttle. Turn it to higher speed for mowing the little taller grass and set it down for doing the final work. You have a primer instead of a choke, and you have your ignition switch here, and of course your starter rope. So you've got the fuel on. One of the other things that is nice on these is the deck is made out of magnesium, which is lightweight and strong, but it's also brittle, so if you have a lot of rocks in your lawn and stuff like that, they'll actually break holes through the side, but this one's in good shape. This is one of those finds where I found it in a junkyard and looked it over. It looked really clean and nice, and the recoil starter didn't work on it, and so the guy said I could have it for 12 bucks for scrap. So I took it home, and all that was wrong with the starter on it is that the drive mechanism was dirty and stuck. So I took it apart, cleaned it, put a new plug in it, and cleaned the carburetor and stuff. So usually these will start on 1 or 2 poles. So we prime it a few times, turn on the ignition switch. There's a spot here, it says put your foot on here to start it. Since we've had our Lawn Boy introduction, we'll go into the history. So, first Lawn Boys were reel mowers. They came out in 1934. And so there's a 2-part history to this. Evinrude made the lawnmower like that, but how the actual power plant for the Lawn Boy came around goes back to the Johnson Motor Company. They originally started out building marine engines, and then they built bicycle motors. When a Model T Ford came out, the cost was so low, and the cost so high of building bicycle motors, that they got out of the business. In 1922 they started making outboard motors, and they were lighter and better engineered than the Evinrudes and most of the others at the time, and so they took off. And they owned a magneto company too that had one of the best magnetos on the market. And so the company grew really quickly. So, but what they did is in the late 20s, there's a 1927 Johnson Utilimotor. These were sold for washing machines and just general purpose light work on the farms and homesteads. It starts here with a lever. Of course, it has the Johnson magneto. Johnson even built their own carburetors. Basically, almost everything in the engine was built by them. But they didn't gain much of a market share. Maytag had the washing machine market covered big time. Okay, they were not that successful as a washing machine motor or a general purpose motor, so they phased them out after a short length of time and concentrated on the outboard motors. And in 1934, after the Depression, they were in bad shape. Evinrude bought them, and in 1936 they were merged into what became Outboard Marine Corporation, which was Johnson and Evinrude Outboards. In late 30s and stuff, they also built these Johnson Iron Horse engines. This is for a washing machine also. Has a low profile and the hand start. And there again, they made their own carburetor. They built almost every part of this engine, but they were expensive, and Briggs was a lot cheaper. And so, right about 1939 or so, they started development of a lightweight two-stroke engine again for general purpose. And that was the Iron Horse. And then World War II intervened. And so that was the end of the deal for a while. But after the war, they started to get ready to build these motors and sell them to the general market. And in 1948, there was a company called RPM. That built the first rotary powered lawnmower for the general public. This ad here is actually in 1952, and that's the year that Outboard Marine Corporation bought them and changed the name to Lawn Boy, but you'll see on here it says Rotary Power Mower, RPM Manufacturing, and had the Iron Horse engine. This is a 1954 brochure, and you'll see some of the key features. It has a staggered front wheel, which was a earmark of the Lawn Boys for years and years and years, and there again with the Iron Horse engine. But it says Rotary Power Lawnmower, so they changed it, phased the early name out. In the early years, they sold them to Sears and Gamble's, which is Western Auto, and others, and got a big share of the market right away. They were cheaper than a real mower, easier to use, and really took a big part of the market. So Lawn Boy kept producing and expanding and modifying their line over the years, and kept making them better and refining them. This is basically what the early Iron Horse engine looked like. It was real rude and simple, inexpensive to make, but you know, did the job. Here's a 60s Lawn Boy engine. It's a lot beefier built, more horsepower, and just a lot better motor. But that was used up until the late 90s. And OMC got into trouble, so they sold them off to Toro, 1998 I believe. And they continued making Lawn Boys for a few years, and then they phased out the real Lawn Boy designs. Just took a Toro lawnmower and painted it green instead of red and called it the Lawn Boy. So they're just a generic piece of crapola today. They don't have all the good features the old ones. But anyway, there's the history of the Lawn Boy. So we'll get back to mowing. Well, we got a minor fuel delivery problem we'll have to work on, but it's been on the job, you know, for all these years, so proper maintenance and stuff and make stuff last a lifetime. So. fuel problem is we probably have a little bit of water and gas from condensation. But you can see what a nice, smooth job it does of mowing the lawn. Reason for that is the staggered wheels on the front of these. If you have them all in the same corner, going with high and low spots like here, it scalps. The offset wheel, it minimizes that and keeps it. You can see what a nice smooth job. The ground is quite rough in here. So there again, a bit of maintenance and be good forever. One man's junk and somebody else's treasure.